Don't worry, not everybody was born knowing the knowledge of towels. 안녕하세요, 클라우드입니다. Hey guys, Cloud here. As you can probably guess from the title and the thumbnail of this video, I'm going to be talking about people who don't believe or don't know whether language learning is for them. If they're good about it, if they're not, if it's just they're not naturally born with the ability to learn multiple languages. Is there any merit to that? Is there any truth to that? I'm going to talk about that a little bit, but first, I'm going to talk about towels. I stayed with my brother for a while. I'd say maybe a couple months, max. And then I was staying at my sister's house, and her husband, my brother-in-law, asked me to get a towel from the linen closet. So I went, I got a towel. He asked for a hand towel, so I got him a towel. And he looked at it and he said, "No, I asked for a hand towel. That's not a hand towel." "Oh, you were staying at your brother and your brother uses these as hand towels. That's fine." So I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was a hand towel because, my brother uses those as hand towels." So he's like, "Don't worry about it. Not everybody was born knowing the knowledge of, or no one was born knowing the different types of towels," or something like that along those lines. You get the point. That clicked in me, and it basically, just a few words changed the way I look at life in general. Whenever I struggled at something, I would think, you know what? I'm just not natural at this thing. And there are things that I am natural at, and I'm really good at it. And, I've reached the peak, or not the peak, but very close to the peak of my skill, and it just came naturally to me. And I have students, and I teach students this kind of thing, and it doesn't come naturally to them. And before I think, I guess they're just not good at it. But after that, I started telling my students, it's okay if you're wrong. It's okay if you're making mistakes. It's okay if you're not perfect. Not everybody was born perfect. No one was born perfect. Not everybody was born just naturally talented. But guess what? You put in the work, and you'll get good at it. And that's what ends up happening with them. I have an example from my own life that changed. I'm an engineer. And when I was in school, we had this concept called a free body diagram, where basically you just find all the forces that are working on a member or on just like a pole or a support or a wall or whatever. And then you sum the forces, you sum the moments, you do a lot of stuff like that. I was really bad at summing the moments. Actually, the reason I was bad at it was because I didn't go to class that day. I was sick or something. And I just thought to myself, oh my God, this is so hard. And throughout my 4 years in college, I did not know how to properly sum moments. I would always lose points for having the wrong sign, or for multiplying the wrong numbers, or for forgetting about it. I always sucked at it. And before every exam, I'd study it, make sure I know it, and then I'd go into the exam, and I'd say 50% of the time I'd mess it up. And then one day I was like, yeah, I guess I don't have the engineering creativity or the insight to figure out how to do it. And then I thought to myself, hold up, who does it matter whether I was born with it or not? I can just practice it. So I literally spent 12 hours for a couple weeks, probably less than a couple weeks. It was probably 3 or 4 days, if not a week. I still remember where I was. I went into a classroom that wasn't being used. I alternated between classrooms that weren't being used. I used the projector, the computer, the whiteboard, the markers, and I just kept doing problem after problem after problem, finding out whether I'm right or wrong, finding out the reasoning, going through the reasoning. I got so good at it that I was teaching other people how to do it, from a person who was before every single exam, I would need to brush up on it. I would need to ask people about it. I went from being really bad at it and losing a lot of points on my exams to being really good at it. And if you ask me, before I did that, I actually truly believed I would never understand how it works. It's just my brain cannot comprehend it. I wasn't born with the gene to understand how moments work. I just didn't know how to do it. I could do a lot of other complicated things, but that one concept, I just didn't understand it. And I realized it was like trying to drive a nail into a stud. Sometimes you naturally just hit the stud and the nail goes in. But sometimes you miss. You just get some drywall. And you have to keep trying and trying different ways, different methods and trying until eventually you hit a stud and the nail sticks. It was kind of like that. I tried so many times and I kept shooting misses like for 4 years, or not for 4 years, but for years. I missed and I just drywall, and it wouldn't stick. And then finally when I decided, you know what, I'm just going to keep nailing. I'm going to buy a nail gun, like a 16 gauge, and I'm going to fill the wall with nails until I finally hit a stud. And eventually I did. So, moving from nails and towels and moments and boring engineering things to language learning. I see a lot of people that say, I want to learn this language. I would really love to, but my brain I just can't. I'm too stupid. I'm not smart enough. I wasn't born. I'm just not natural. It doesn't come to me naturally. And what I say to that is like, that's cool. Sure. It doesn't come to you naturally. That's fine. It's hard. Yeah. And there are other things that are hard in life. Doesn't mean we don't learn them. Nobody naturally knows how to do taxes, but you learn how to do them and you move on with your life. It's the same thing. Something being hard, not being able to understand something, is not an excuse. It really just isn't. It's something that you need to, if you really want it, nothing will stand in your way. You can overcome every single obstacle. And you'll find more and more obstacles come your way, and you'll overcome them, every single one, every single time. With the language learning, it might not be that you're not smart enough to learn a language. You might be going about it the wrong way. You might have tried the same method 10 different times and then realize, I guess I'm not good at learning languages. Well, the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Sure, you just didn't a written course, like buying a book and trying to learn a language through that, or trying to learn a language by translating Harry Potter or something didn't work for you. Try something else. Try a video course. Try a podcast. Try a course on campus. Try a course at your local community college. Try an online course. It doesn't even have to be paid. Try some of the free online resources for whatever language you're doing. Try watching movies and listening to music in that language. There's just so many different ways that you can try that eventually you're going to hit a stud. It's very hard for you not to hit a stud, and for people who find more difficulty, you probably learn the language much better than people who find it easy. The concepts that I learned passively, I'm probably not very good at, or not very fluent in. Like, I can't use them to their fullest potential. But the ones that made no sense to me are the ones I'm so good at, because I just hammered and spent hours trying to understand it and explaining it to different people and practicing. What works for me is I'm a teacher, so when I teach someone something, sometimes it shows a flaw in my understanding, and then I go back and I research it and it improves my understanding of the concept. So I do that. That's part of the reason why I got good at physics, was because I just explained it to so many people that eventually I just got good at it. And when I didn't understand something, I'd look it up and I'd explain it to them, and it would stick. And then I would explain it to the next person, and I wouldn't forget it. So basically what I'm saying, if to the people who say that, oh, language learning is not for me, I'm not good at it, I'm not talented, I'm too stupid, all that stuff. Well, if you're too stupid, you wouldn't have learned a language. Just get that out of the way. You wouldn't be speaking. You wouldn't be able to say, I'm too stupid, because you're too stupid to learn a language. I don't think there's anyone here that doesn't speak a language, who's in the language learning community or wants to learn a new language. So now that that's out of the way, the other excuses of I don't have time, or it's too hard, and those kind of excuses are simply excuses. There's no merit. There's no validity to those specific excuses. Maybe you don't have time. Maybe you have 3 kids and, you're going through a bunch of stuff. You're working 2 jobs. Sure. But using the excuse that the language is too hard? No, you just haven't put the effort in. If it doesn't come naturally to you, that's okay. Other things come naturally to you. Some things will, some things won't. But if we only did the things that come naturally to us, we're never going to achieve any goal, because it wouldn't be your goal if it came naturally to you. It's that simple. Goals are things that require us to level up. And if you're not going to put in the effort to gain the experience to level up, well, then you're not going to achieve your goals. So that's one thing that I've seen a lot. The reason I'm making this video is I was going through Twitter and I saw like 10 to 15 people in a row just saying, I would really love to learn Korean, but I'm too stupid or I'm too dumb. And I thought about responding to them, to each one, and like trying to motivate them or tell them that, no, that's not true, or not invalidating what they're saying, but rather like, maybe you have to try it this way or that way. I try not to invalidate people's feelings. Like if they feel like they're too dumb to learn a language, I'm not going to tell them, oh, you're wrong, because that creates conflict. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to tell them, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way, I'm sorry you feel that way. How about trying an easier way? Because maybe it doesn't come naturally to you. Things like that is more effective. It's not that I'm trying to avoid conflict. It's just conflict is not going to help achieve my goal of having people learn new languages, because I didn't know this before and I really regret it. If I could go back in the past, I would have learned like 8 languages by now, maybe 10 languages between middle school, high school. I would have loved to enter Chinese academy and just learn Mandarin and learn the Chinese characters as a young child. But there's no point in looking back and regretting. I just have to move on. And I don't want people to feel the same way when they learn a new language and realize that it's such an awesome thing and so many different experiences that they're missing out on that they didn't even know existed. And I want people who want to learn languages to have the ability to do so. And that's basically the main goal of my channel, is to get people to learn languages and realize that it's not difficult, or it's not too difficult. It could be difficult. There's a lot of obstacles, but it's nothing you cannot overcome. And with that, I will see you guys next time.